you ready, Fred?
Yeah, come on, buddy.
Welcome back to the Left, Right, in Between.
That's the actual fucking start.
Hey, I knew that. I picked him. You are such an idiot.
No one listen to this old.
We love you, Christy. We love you.
He was directing traffic that night, wasn't he? Oh, when you're ready, Fred.
Yeah, come on, buddy.
Sorry, mate.
Welcome back to the Left, Right, in Between. Ready?
Did you press the button?
Yeah, go, mate.
We're on. We're live.
Press the fucking button there.
Mate.
You got to put the tune.
We intro,
Just
didn't you hear
did
it?
You missed out. We started already.
That's the actual fucking start, boys. Don't fucking try and jump in here, motherfuckers. Fellas, welcome again to the Left, Right, Somewhere in Between podcast with Freddie here. Coach, how are you?
Good, mate. Good.
That's good.
Looking forward to the game.
I'm looking forward to this segment
Why is that?
because we're going to talk about the Maggies.
Oh, well. And Ada, how are we?
Yeah, good, mate. Good.
That is good. Now, well, boys, we're all in our black and whites, even though the fucking Pies aren't in the finals today. But look, who gives a fuck? We can wear whatever the fuck we want and up the Maggies. But I think we need to give a bit of limelight to the Pies because our coach has got Coach of the Year, Fly McRae, and he's a superstar, as we all know. But let's talk about the highs and lows. We've stuck with this team for years. Obviously, you guys a lot longer than me. But tell us a little bit about what you guys felt for 2022 and where you saw we really excelled and probably what we need to improve and pick up on.
Well, sorry.
No, yeah, look, I've
You rude fuck.
I've gone, on report. Is it the term? I've gone on report as saying
reported.
I've gone on. No, I've on the
Record.
record as saying that aside from in my lifetime, in my young 51 years, 51 years, apart from 2010 and 1990, this has been the best year of footy I've watched. I don't know. I mean, obviously, look at we've had some great games.
2010, we won the premiership.
Yeah, we've come from.
FYI.
What did I say? I said 2010 and
1990. You're accurate.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't listening. Sorry.
Apart from those 2 years, this is by far the greatest. Like I've enjoyed footy so much this year, and I think it all comes down to like you mentioned, Craig McRae, new coach. So you're always a bit concerned when a new coach comes in. You don't know what he's going to offer, and he just completely turned the club around. He's got a great game plan. Moving the ball a lot quicker, and interesting statistics like what was that statistic, Pants, when we moved the ball from the defensive 50 to forward 50 in 15 seconds
In less than 13 seconds,
we score or something.
We score in the 90 percentile,
and we did that very well. It was just good to see a change work. And you gave Craig McRae a rap there, but let's talk about young Whisper.
Hey, I knew that. I picked him.
Fucking kidding.
You are such an idiot.
No one listen to this old buddy.
I do. Craig McRae's an important part of it, but Lepich, Brendan Bolton, and the guys around him, from what we gather and what we see and what we read, I read a fair bit of that rubbish. They all do and are really, really important cogs inside that coaching wheel, and they all do different things and bring different strengths. Bolton's a real educator, he's a real teacher, and the kids connect to him. But Lepich is a real relationship person, but he's also smart. He's the one. The Adelaide game when they flicked Whisper into the middle and the game turned, that was Lepich's decision. He put it forward and said, "Hey, throw him in the middle and see what happens." It's things like that, and the beauty is that McRae allowed it to happen. McRae said, "Let's see what happens." You never know. I would imagine in the Malthouse days, he would have said, "Fuck off, I'm the coach."
Yeah.
And Buckley too.
And potentially Buckley
Live
too.
and die by the sword, which is good.
So he allows his lieutenants to come forward with stuff, and he rolls the dice.
And he uses it, yeah. And just for those who are listening to this and don't know who Whisper is,
watching this,
how many votes did he get in the
11.
Brownlow? 11 votes. So it's Nick Dacos, for those who don't know.
Equal with who?
Crispy.
Yep.
Crispy, yeah.
Crispy, who I saw at the casino the night before and the night after the Adelaide game.
The Adelaide game.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
I think he might actually, by the way he was speaking, he might actually own the joint.
We love you, Crispy. We love you.
He was directing traffic that night, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah, obviously you can gather from that conversation that we were in Adelaide to support the Black and White Army and paint that city black and white, which we did.
And purple.
And
you might ask why purple, but that'll come up later.
I think that's because pants copped one in the back end. But
Purple and brown.
yeah, the dipstick. I think there's been a fair bit of progression from the side, as we've documented time and time again. From 17 to fourth. He's
Into a prelim.
Yeah, is an unbelievable feat. But I think that there's, if you look at our stable and what players we had in the year where we made 17th to the year that we made 4th and got into a prelim, I think you look at the players and say, okay, there might be a mental change, there might be some improvements in obviously
game
physical,
style, game plan.
physical ability. They've got a new fitness coach, not that fucking Irish idiot. But there's an ability that obviously the players have. But I think at the same time, like Pants has pointed out, coaching is integral to this, not only from obviously a game plan style, but also from the connectivity to the players, so that they now play for you. I think it's been well advertised that the likes of Daisy and Heath Shaw, when they were speaking about the various coaches they played under, that there's a complete difference between one and the other, where there was a coach that they played for and they enjoyed, and it was well accepted by the playing group, and then there was a coach that they didn't want to play for, and obviously those results speak for the results that were under that coach. Speak as
for themselves.
Showed, yeah, for sure. So fellas, obviously,
but the year we had was super exciting.
It is, and we obviously we had Whisper as you guys have spoken about, and probably knocked your top off a couple of times in the bathroom thinking of this guy.
In the bathroom, in front of the TV, in the bathroom,
painted
in
the
the
TV.
bedroom.
So, but
at the Adelaide Oval,
obviously he's one player of 18 that's on the field, and obviously a consistent player for him. But we have the vintage players being your Steel side bottoms, your Pendles,
Howe,
Howe,
Roughhead who retired.
You've got your young players too. McCreary, you've got Ash Johnson,
Carmichael.
We've got the likes of
Ginny.
Billy Elliott, who's obviously a veteran of the game. But
Is he a veteran or is he sort of middle of the road?
He hasn't really played. He hasn't played much because of injury. So he's a revived player.
Yeah.
But if you look, I think let's break down our lineup here from a back line, midfield to forward line. Looking at our back line for starters, you got to say that's a solid 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the boys on the bench, right? So as a stand-up, we've got Maynard,
Darcy Moore,
Howe, Johnny Noble, Twilight. We've
Q.
got Q, as much as I fucking hate that guy. We've got Q.
Murphy.
Nathan Murphy.
Murphy, yeah.
He's been a good inclusion.
So, he's also a young blood player. Like, it's hard to, how do you bolster that back line?
I think you need another. I think you need one strong stay-at-home fullback. I know that doesn't. We don't play that
Someone
anymore.
like a Ruffy.
Someone the role that Ruffy did. So
Yeah.
Madge?
Well, Madge, someone like that. So we've got
No.
He's the decoy. Madge the decoy.
So we've got someone who, the likes of Moore can run off more rather than having to stay home. Or Howe, the same thing. How's it coming towards the end of his career? So if Billy Frampton is the talk, and then if he comes in, he sticks at that. He's that stay at home looking after the full forward-ish, and then the other guys can keep running and gunning and going. And we know when Moore does that, when Q does that, we are really powerful.
He doesn't get another game, Q. The amount of fucking bullshit.
I think he will. I think he will.
Off.
I don't mind him. I don't mind him.
He's
young. He's young.
He's
young,
only
mate.
young.
He's going to be a shit ass. No.
He's
Spend some time in the VFL champion.
he's 30, 40 games behind everyone else in the back line. Another season, I reckon he'll come good.
Yeah, season in the VFL. Not he can fuck off.
It's a bit harsh.
Clearly not
Stick
a
on
fan.
fucking TikTok, you fucking cunt.
Let's move to the midfield.
Don't,
I think he'll
don't
do
stick
well.
to TikTok.
No.
It's out of trouble.
I think he's going to come good for him.
Move to the midfield and wingers.
So who we got in the midfield? So we've
Steele on one
we've
side.
got Steele on one side. We've
And
got
the other Dacos?
Josh Dacos. You've obviously in the halfback. So we forgot to mention Whisper after all that. So clearly you guys
true.
aren't fans. You fuckwits. But anyway, so we've got we got DeGoey. We've got partially DeGoey in the guts. We got Maynard who actually plays in the guts sometimes.
And Crispy gets up there
Crispy
too.
gets up there too. So they juggle that shit around.
Darcy Cameron, number one ruck.
Yeah, Darcy Cameron with obviously Cox. Who knows
Pinch
what his
hitting.
future looks like.
Yeah.
But so with that midfield, like it's not when we got Treloar a few years ago when we got Treloar and we bolstered up our midfield with the likes of Steele, Treloar,
Well, Tay Adams too.
Tay Adams. We were touted to have the midfield of all midfields, but then we got absolutely ravaged. Because Grundy, even though got hit outs, Grundy didn't get clearances. Didn't get taps to advantage, and we got fucking absolutely ravaged. So it goes to show that. Just because you get first touch in the air doesn't necessarily mean you get first touch on the ground.
On the ground.
So, and obviously, if you look at our stats, go with the AFL app or ask the two man over there, the coach. You look at those stats and you find that, although we're getting 60 tap outs of a game, we're only getting 20 odd clearances out of the centre square. So, I think that's a big killer as well. I think they all talk about having those tap outs and clearances as having the first touch and getting your guys the first feed of that football. And I think it's proven, right? Like with
the 6-6-6, the quicker you get out of the middle, the quicker you get to your forward line, you create one-on-ones.
That's right.
And you have half a chance from there.
That's exactly right. And you don't necessarily need to spend $700,000 on Grundy to provide
700,
or a million or whatever it is. You don't need to spend that much money on a Grundy to get a hit out.
Well, Darcy Cameron's proved that.
Correct. And he's fucking a quarter of the way.
Yeah. The game against Fremantle, I was there and I was at halftime. I was with my girlfriend and I was showing her the stats, and Collingwood was behind on everything. Collingwood was behind on everything in all the stats.
That's not the first time.
No,
it's right. And you look at that and you say to yourself that one stat though that you brought up before, Pants, is that stat that bring out from the defence into the forward line in that 13-second mark. That was it. That's that one stat that keeps them kicking goals in the game and keep them in the game the whole time.
When we beat Melbourne the second time,
tap outs, everything. We're behind in everything.
We beat Melbourne the second time. The two key stats that we won for the game, the only two was obviously the scoreboard. We were ahead of them at the end of the game. Great. The other one was pressure act. Other than that, we lost everything.
Some people may say it was the crowd screaming in the fucking stadium.
The crowd screaming.
Apparently that's a big advantage, according to some. But actually, I'll ask you about that. When you're in the crowd, and whether you're sitting in the nosebleeds or you're sitting on the fence, and you scream out,
or somewhere in between,
possibly, yes.
Because that's where I like to.
That's where I like to sit.
Yeah, in the fucking nowheres. So when you're sitting with the plebs in those levels and champions at the front, getting the actual word out to the playing group.
Anyway,
do you feel
get to the point
that
here.
there's actual like influence? I know we were talking about before in a couple of episodes before that the crowd provides an influence. Do you feel that if the players are close enough to the vicinity of you, do you have an influence on how they're
No,
do they listen? Do you think they hear?
No.
I think that it's not so much. I think it's when you listen to players and they say they can't hear over the crowd. You have to realise the crowd has an influence. It has to, because if you can't even hear the umpires calling or doing anything, it means they can literally hear the crowd. And if the crowd is, I went to that game and when the umpires made a decision against Carlton, and the entire crowd started calling bullshit, they can hear it. They can, especially when the crowd gets up together and says it.
Are you talking about
So if
you're coaching
as an individual from the boundary line,
if
yelling
you're on the boundary line, and
coaching
when you
from
go,
the fence.
Hoskin Elliott, you idiot!
Well, you're telling Checker to kick the fucking football, or you're asking Q to fucking kick down the line because there's space.
I don't think they can hear you, mate.
Yeah.
But you
Fred's
keep
coaching
doing
from
you.
Yeah, keep doing it.
Oh, we fucking
You keep doing you.
But so we've now talked about the mids. Let's talk about our forward line, because our forward line is unorthodox.
Yeah.
Right. We've got probably
Yes.
one of the smallest in height
Yep.
of a forward line in the comp. Yet our output is probably 3 times as much as any other forward line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we look at the likes of Checker, you fucking dyslexic fuck, like seriously, we've got Checker, we've got Jamie Elliott, we've got Ginnivan, we've got McCreary, Carmichael sometimes has a pinch hit in the forward line.
Johnson.
You got Ash Johnson. Yeah, these young
And Cox.
Oh yeah,
Cox will float
he
down.
pinch hits
Cameron as well.
So we've got these young-blooded players that obviously have proven themselves to say that they're up to the task to kick the goals that we need, to make the numbers that we need to obviously win a game. But do you feel that can be bolstered up, keeping in mind they're looking at McStay to come in,
Bobby Hill.
There's obviously the players that are coming in. There's got to be players coming out. So does that fuck with the chemistry that we've got?
Look, it's going to be down to game plan, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, how the coach is set up. and how everyone contributes in their role. That's what we hear all the time. That's what it comes down to. Players are always going to switch. You're always going to change players. They've just got to play the way that they've been told to play. I don't know how McStay's going to fit in. There's talk that he's going to run up and down the ground and help.
It doesn't look like he'd have a tank though.
Linking up from back to forward, they're going to use his height to get that happening. But I think you need more runners than anything else. And Hoskin Elliott's the end of his career too. But I
don't mind him. Other people on his panel don't like him. I don't mind him. I think he does
the
all right.
jury's
Who's that? Who?
Two dads.
Oh,
Yeah.
how does he get a game week in, week out?
So you have a go at Q because I'm having a go at Q, and now you're saying Hoskin Elliott, he can kick a goal at least.
Oh,
What Q fucking do?
I want to put on record.
Sits on his
I
back
like,
end.
I like all our players.
Wait,
Let
can
me
he
put
kick a
on
goal
record.
though?
Can
Can
he
he?
kick a goal?
Fuck.
He did. He
Who are you talking about now, Hoskin Elliott?
Well, Hoskin Elliott.
Of course he can kick a
He's
goal.
He won us a game early in the year.
Correct. He's done all right. He's done all
Move
right.
He won us a game off his own boot.
Move on.
So,
Oh my god!
so then, we're looking at 2022. It's 2023. What is that? I think looking at the potential influx of people that now want to join the Black and White Army, to forego their current colours and move to the dark side, so to speak. I don't know how we can fit all these players in our
It's the
budget.
first time in years we've had players say, "I want to go to Collingwood."
But how do we fit it in the budget?
Oh,
we
that's
got- have we
that's
got
why the
over-
talk about Grundy going is pivotal to it, and talk about all these other players being released, cut, salaries renegotiated, which is why they haven't re-signed to Goey. Everyone's just waiting for him to and he'll put pen to paper, I believe, but it's just a matter of how they can shift all those pieces of the puzzle in together. And if it means we've got to lose one to pick up three and a couple of draft picks, I think it's worth it.
But do you think that some of it, honestly, let's call it out right now. Let's not be fucking pussies about this. Do you believe there are players in our list that are currently overpaid?
Absolutely. Every club's got them.
Yeah.
They're out. Name one.
At our club,
Yeah.
every player. Hoskin Elliott's probably overpaid. It was
He didn't
highly.
pay like $300,000, doesn't he?
No, he got drafted or moved into our club
GWS.
from GWS,
Yeah.
and the story went around that when it happened, he was almost doubled his salary.
Really?
Yeah.
No, someone's got it. Chew man, get on that, coach. find out what that number is, because he doesn't have a high output. I agree with you, but I don't think we're paying him that much money. Maybe 200 grand, 300 grand, maybe.
A year?
Yeah, he
No
wouldn't
way.
be on 500.
Well, I still think that's too much.
No.
Well, look at Q, that motherfucker. He was our number one, right?
Yeah, but
was.
he'd only be on 150, 200.
No way.
Yeah, he wouldn't be on much more than that.
No way. Someone Google it up.
Where's your phone? Where's
There
your
is
phone,
no
Coach?
fucking way.
Yeah, I haven't got my phone.
Coach, you're the IT man.
Can I just go back to your very first question about our highs and lows for the year?
Yep. Okay.
My low was going to the West Coast game and losing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I really
God.
thought we were going to win that.
Oh,
I went there and we
Was it
lost.
round 3?
Steve, it
was very early.
You're so right.
It was so early, and I really thought, we've got some young players. I thought we had a chance, and when we lost, I walked away going,
Heartbreaking.
"What a shit year we're going to have." And how wrong was I? But that moment, at that time, walking away from that ground, I just thought, this is going to be a horrific year.
Yeah.
And it didn't turn that way, which is great. Don't get me wrong. But that was the low.
Yeah.
And the high for me was thinking we were going to lose to Essendon. And things just turned around, and that final kick was just incredible.
I got kicked out of that game, unfortunately. I didn't get to see that.
You get to see.
I got kicked out with my daughter.
West Coast this year recorded a record low total number of Brownlow votes as a team.
Wow.
But I think they're
and
in a
they beat
rebuild,
us.
I think they're in a rebuild phase too, which is another difficulty.
Yeah.
I think they had some highs in that 2018 year, or 2018.
Yep.
Where they were running on top of water, and it's obviously a slow progression. Obviously, their players got older and slower, injured, blah 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 blah, and obviously have dribbled away.
But don't forget, this year they got ravaged by COVID. So there was a period of time there
That's true.
when
So eat a dick, Western Australia. But
5 or 6 of their players that played had never ever seen the coach before, and the coach only met them when he introduced them and gave them their jumper on the ground before the game.
So that there tells you, WA, pull your fucking head in, because you're not better than every other state. And West Coast Eagles,
Was that McGowan?
suck a dick. Like, we at the we from Victoria, we
Bad
were
luck.
raveled.
Oh,
we
we-
were raveled.
we do not
with
care.
fucking COVID. We what we'll proclaim to have like the highest amount of lockdown days.
Greatest
and
lockdown
shit
city
around
in the world.
And so we've all put up with it, and because you're dumbass fucking premier wants to lock your state down and not intermingle with the rest of the world, well, fuck you. So I don't give any credit.
Sorry to interrupt, guys. I have a list of the whole team and salaries. So,
Which
where
year?
are we?
Current
Will
year.
Hoskin Elliott, 243,000.
Told you it's not more than 300 grand, you fucks.
You-
What's
you,
Q?
You actually believe
What's
this list?
Quaynor?
I'm just looking for Quaynor. Where is he?
Look at the fucking top of the list because he's getting paid too much, that cunt.
Is it alphabetical? It is.
Q-man,
Where's
you're out of a
Q?
job.
Where's Q,
You're
Q,
shit
Q. Isaac Quaynor, 312.
There you go. Overpaid. Fuck off. Ginnivan?
Scott Pendlebury, 463, overpaid.
But that's probably back-ended, right? Oh, sorry, top-ended,
I don't
right?
believe these
Yeah,
salaries at all.
Hey?
I don't believe this.
So while he's looking that up, Mark, what's your highs and lows for the year?
Definitely the win against Carlton was a massive high. The high overall really was that we just competed and we can just see a different style of football. We're really happy with the coach and the players and the gelling and everything that they talk about. For us, the lows, West Coast loss was really shit, and the Geelong loss was shit too, because we were 30-odd points up and just should never have lost that game. Just really those in general. But I think overall, I'd rather want to end up being more positive about how we finished off. Yeah, it wasn't great to lose to Swans by a point, but reality is we probably shouldn't have beaten the Bombers and we probably shouldn't have beaten the Blues. So
in saying that too, I think where I sympathise with North Melbourne supporters is it when your team loses regularly and gets pumped. You as a supporter, I believe, should still be going to the games, right? Day in, day out, regardless of rain, weather, rain, sun, windy, whatever it is, and your team's getting pumped, you still need to sit there on the fence
and go through
and go through the punches with your team. But it makes it difficult when your team is getting regularly pumped, and it makes it super hard to just sit there and grit your teeth to bear it.
Yeah.
So obviously these wins that we've had by the less than a goal and whatever, it gets you a chub on. You get a bit hard about it, and you stick fat with the club, and you know that there are brighter days ahead. So
what about your highs and lows, Fred? We haven't got to that yet.
Yeah, no, I think for me the highs is obviously the overall achievement of the club. I don't think I think week in, week out that the boys have always pushed hard to succeed and to get to a point where they will be able to win whichever way was possible. So I think just the overall achievement of the club has been the high for me. I think the low point though is the likes of simple mistakes. I think for me, and I say when I go to the footy, I say it all the time. Like, these players are getting paid reasonable amounts of money to live a dream that any single child, man or woman, boy or girl, would die to do. Right, to be able to put on a jumper and play on the big stage in front of hundreds or tens of thousands of people, and they would push their hardest to do to do the best that they could do. But the low points for me is then when you go to these games and you can see these superstar men, specifically in AFL, because I haven't really gone to an AFLW game, but you can see these superstar men that take their situation for granted, and you just think to yourself, like, any man in the stadium would be happy enough to just put on a jersey to be running out there to
and
take
play
the
one
opportunity.
game.
Even just to have one kick. Like, not even a game. Go out there and do a fucking hammy in 3 minutes and whilst you're having a kick.
That wouldn't happen to me. Would it happen to you?
100% it'd fucking happen to me because I'm a barge ass. But, it's that. It's these guys are gifted with talent. Obviously, hard work. There's no doubt about that, right? They've obviously done it from their junior years. But to see players flaunt what they've done in the sense that they've taken it for granted and it's all just a fucking game, like, that's the low light for me. And there's been some times where you see some of our superstars do that, and I get that there's going to be down points here and there, but to see specific players that do that, i.e. a DeGoey, like, that frustrates me, and that creates a low point for me for the year.
Ada.
Highs. So I think for me, it's hard, so hard to pick a high. Probably both Carlton wins. I was at the first Carlton win with my partner, surrounded by a whole heap of Carlton supporters, and like I was trembling and shaking. That was probably one of my highlights. And then also beating him to knock him out of the 8 was another one. And I guess what Fred said, it's just a fucking great year all around. But I think the low, because, you have losses during the year and, you've got to cop that. And I didn't realise it was a low until later in the week, was probably this week, missing out on the big dance.
Yeah.
Watching the Sydney game, we were down by four goals, whatever it was at the quarter time, and you're sort of thinking, on that ground, that's a big margin. It's probably worth a couple of more goals, anywhere else. And then so to come back and, I'd sort of given up already, but, you sort of hold on for hope because we've done it a few times and we nearly did again. And so you sort of, after the game, you sort of went, oh, well, we've had a great year. Everyone's saying, if you told me this time last year we're playing a prelim, you'd think I'm crazy. And yeah, that's true. And that's sort of what I was, I was writing that for a day or so. But then when the hype starts to come up, the weekend's coming. You see, this morning I saw front page of the Herald Sun, the Geelong, Sydney, and he just going, fuck.
Could have been us.
That could have been us. I shouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
And for me, that's sort of been weird, just been a weird feeling and a bit of emptiness, I reckon.
Yeah.
So for me, that's been the low part of the year. Because at the time we lost, I didn't feel it.
Yeah.
It was just a few days later. It was
It sets in, doesn't it?
Crept up on me. Yeah.
So in conclusion, we don't want to be taking up too much of our weekend with regards to the podcast. We want to get on the beers already and obviously get into the food that we've got cooking. But look, guys, I just want to finish off this grand final episode with how do you think this game will start, knowing that we've played both teams and how they both played against us? And then the second question to that is, finally, what is your prediction for the final scores and who wins?
I'll go first. I think the Cats will jump out early, and I think that'll be the difference in the game at the end because it'll be an arm wrestle from there. 15 points. Norm Smith, I'm going to go outside here, and Mitch Duncan. And that's it. So the Cats, 15, Mitch Duncan, Norm Smith.
Okay.
Leading goal kicker, Jeremy Cameron.
With how many?
I reckon you'll kick 3.
Coach?
I think I agree. I think Geelong will come out in the first quarter. However, I think Sydney will come out in the second, and I think it'll be a close one by half time. And I think the game will finish out very close. I think it'll be probably a 3-point win to Sydney.
Wow, big call.
And I think that, for me, again, I think even though Sydney will win, I still think Dangerfield will get the Norm Smith.
And goals? Who is the lead goal kicker?
Jeremy Cameron.
With how many?
I reckon about 5.
Okay. Now, Ada?
I honestly think that Geelong will just control the game from start to finish. They'll just toy with them. I reckon Geelong will just control the game as they do, as I've seen them do during the year. Fuck Norm Smith, I don't know. Fucking, you know what? They'll probably give it to Dangerfield or Selwood. Just
midfielder.
Yeah, just we've got to give it to one of those blokes. Have you seen
Geelong by how much though?
Have you seen the committee who's selecting?
No.
Oh, there's fucking.
Let me guess. Jared Waitley.
Isn't Nathan Buckley one of them?
No, I'm not sure Nathan Buckley is, but there's some weird names there. I don't know.
Right.
Anyway, Geelong by 25.
25.
Who's the leading goal?
Jeremy Cameron, about 4, I reckon he'll kick.
And Norm Smith was?
I'll just say
Danger or Selwood?
Danger. Yeah, Danger.
Well, to be different, I'll pick Sydney. And I'll pick Sydney by
I said Sydney.
24. Yeah.
I did say Sydney.
You did. You fucking.
So you're very
3
different.
points.
Geelong
You're
will
so
come in.
different.
Geelong will come out in the first quarter, and then Sydney will come out in the second quarter.
Well,
of course,
I hope they do. I hope they do. Otherwise, they're not playing footy.
No, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Well, I don't know, do we?
Yeah.
I think Sydney.
Swans by 24.
Sydney by 24. I think it'll be Papley that'll kick 4 goals.
Happily.
And I think Luke Park will get Norm Smith.
That's
Can
a good
you
one.
not say that name? I'll get fucking chills up and down my spine.
I'm doing it for the fans. But on that, guys, we say cheers to everyone.
We hope you enjoy your grand final day, everyone.
Day,
Let's have a good one.
Enjoy your day.
Let's get fucked up.
Get on the
Indeed.
punt.
Cheers, guys.
See you
Take
guys.
See you
care.
guys.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye. Bye.